If your roofing business isn't growing, it usually boils down to a couple of things that I'm going to go over in depth in this video. I've helped hundreds of roofers across the United States scale their business to 7, 8, and even help some scale to 9 figures through paid marketing. So let's get right into it. From a bird's eye view, 50,000 foot overview, it really only boils down to two different things. You're either not acquiring enough customers or you're not making enough profits on the ones that you already have. So the names of the KPIs to track these two different things is your CAC, so your customer acquisition cost, and then also your lifetime value or your LTV. For roofers, so in this industry, LTV is almost never the issue. The reason why is because roofing is typically like a one-off, high-ticket delivery is very repeatable. It's very easy, right? You can do 100 roofs and pretty much give 100 people the same thing, right? And it's a one-off, high-ticket service. So you're not having to like deal with like a ton of churn and like monthly recurring revenue and trying to get like your LTV to stack over months and months and months. That's not the business that we're in, right? So it's almost always an acquisition problem. And this can boil down into a couple of different reasons on how that looks. So the first thing could be recruiting and staffing. So if you can't grow your business, it's often not because you don't have leads, it's because you don't have a team to handle more volume. You've hired salespeople in the past, and all of a sudden your margins are trash because they can't sell like you do, right? So this is one reason. So the leads is one, and then like the people handling those leads is another problem, right? So if you can't scale, if you're the main salesperson, you're the project manager, you're the operations guy, you are involved in every little nook and cranny of your business. There's no movement without your direct involvement, right? It says here like your calendars are full, but your calendar's full as an owner, but your bank account is struggling. That's how you know like you are the bottleneck, right? All right, the first acquisition problem is recruiting and staffing. So leads are one problem, and then the people that are handling those leads are another. So if you can't grow your business, it's often not because you don't have leads, it's because you don't have a team to handle more volume. You've hired salespeople in the past, and all of a sudden your margins are trash because they don't sell like you do. You can't scale if you are the main salesperson, you're the project manager, and you're the operations guy. Here's what this problem actually looks like. You're closing every deal yourself because you don't trust anyone else. Your calendar is full, but your bank account isn't. And here are the three core mistakes that people are typically making in roofing for recruiting and staffing. So you're looking for a good sales guy and you don't have any defining factors on what makes that somebody good. You're kind of just interviewing and operating completely off of feeling and just using like your instincts. You trust your own like recruiting, interviewing instincts to like land top performers consistently. That's like a sure way to inconsistently hire performers and non-performers, just how it works. So like you don't have any benchmarks or tests or some repeatable interview process. You can put 100 people through and repeatedly get the top performers out on the other side. That's because you don't have that. You treat every new hire, it's almost like a gamble. It's not a system. So you're just like bringing somebody on and just hoping it works out. Like surefire way to bring on a non-performer, send them a ton of leads that you spend money on and have them waste all of the money. So the fix to this, good news, it's pretty easy. So create a profile on what your ideal salesperson or setter or project manager or manager or whatever the position you're hiring, create a profile on what they need to look like. Have your non-negotiables on what those people need to hit, like 5 traits or 6 traits, whatever it might be for you, that they absolutely need to hit and do not bend for anything. Your SOPs, they also suck, and you also have absolutely zero onboarding whatsoever with your sales reps. You don't have clear training structure. You train them for 30 minutes. You might go over like maybe a call recording and you just talk at them for 30 minutes and you pretty much just hope that they figure it out on their own, right? So you need to build a repeatable onboarding process, just like how you need to build a repeatable interview process with your SOPs dialed in, shadowings, role plays, weekly scorecards, like literally whatever you can incorporate to make it repeatable, make it as data-based as possible. There's no operating off feeling and like, oh, I think this guy's a good closer, or it's kind of like estimating in your head. Yeah, I think his close rate's like 65%. When in reality, you don't track your data, which means you actually have no idea what their close rate even is, right? I see that quite a bit. So you're still doing yourself. Like you haven't removed yourself. This is like I said, this is like a huge bottleneck. You're not trusting anybody to close. You're not trusting anybody to handle the clients, or you're micromanaging every single install. You are showing up to every install. Like you're not letting your project managers project manage. You're not letting your salespeople sell. When you're constantly in every single nook and cranny of your business, nothing will ever move without you. Okay. So the fix of this, once again, so you're training people to follow your systems, not you. you are setting and actually tracking your KPIs, which we'll get into later, and you're reviewing the outcomes, not the inputs. Okay. When you let people fail, fix it. And that's how you build the independence within your team, is when you let them fail and then you coach them up instead of like kind of like puppet mastering your entire team. It doesn't work. Second problem. So this is the generating lead side. So this is one that it's typically the bigger lever, but obviously like the first one is still very, very important. So we see this a lot. So there's no actual system. Like it's kind of just like hustling for leads. Like there's no actual marketing system that's consistently generating like consistent revenue, right? We're either relying on referrals or we have like door knockers, and we know how door knockers are, right? It's very hard to find guys that like want to stay for a long time. It's very hard to scale a team past like 10 reps at once. Like it's very tough. Okay. Your past customers, kind of if like you do a job, storm comes in, the roof gets damaged again, and you do the roof again, or like kind of like Angie's or Home Advisor, like where it's very like feast or famine, right? Like that, once again, it's not a system. It's kind of just a hustle where you're just like hoping leads fall into your lap and you're wondering why things are slow, is because you don't have a consistent system that's scalable and predictable. Okay. And here's what to do about it. So you need to pick a marketing system that scales you up, right? So you need a system that can bring in new leads every day with control, with budget caps, with data, and the most important, while you're sleeping. Like you don't have to be actively working or have manpower actively working to bring leads in. That's my favorite. And if you do, you need to be really good at like automating that process. So these are things like Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, cold email, cold calling, or any other repeatable outbound system. Okay. Door knocking, once again, that would fall into like one of those categories, but it's really tough to manage. Like there's a lot of manpower that goes into making door knocking work. Right. So we need to hit the market at a different angle. Ideally, you want something online. So like I was saying, measurable and scalable. I recommend paid ads. Obviously, like we run paid ads for people all across the country. So of course I would recommend paid ads. But it gives you really good control over the volume of leads and over costs, and over quality. You have so much control. Like you can make so many little micro adjustments that can drastically improve your costs, which is obviously like what matters at the end of the day, right? The second thing as well is building a scalable offer that you can advertise like through whatever medium of marketing that you're choosing to pick, right? So you can't just say like free estimate or like we are the best roofers around or we got a warranty. That's cool, right? We got a warranty. That's not an offer, okay? And everybody says shit like that. So what you need is something as simple as this. So like roof replacement program starting at $5,997. Like that is a more tangible offer, right? Especially because the industry we're in, roofing, it's very like price based. Like that's how the consumers think, very price based. That's probably why you get a lot of people like haggling you for price. So something like that's an offer. So you want to focus on value, urgency, and trust. Like why should somebody click on your ad like rather than the other like 15 roofing ads that they saw on their feed, right? So this is where like if you're running ads, like this is where like having really great creatives, really great call outs, and really great performing creatives, like that's how you're going to get these guys through. Building a follow-up process. So converting the cold traffic it's not like hyper interested warm leads that a lot of roofers are used to. So we see a lot of people that like they've only ever door knocked and worked off of word of mouth their entire careers. And the unfortunate side of people like this is typically they're not as great at sales as they think they are because of the traffic that they're working off of. So somebody like if you do somebody's roof and then you do a good job and then they tell their friend about you and then like they give you that friend over as a lead, that's a layup. Like that's like silver platter for the most part. That's a very, very warm lead. Or even door knocking, because you're having an in-person conversation, shaking their hand, kissing the baby, petting their dogs, maybe like accepting that glass of water. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't replicate that exact interaction online, of course, right? So learning how to take cold traffic through a medium like ads and warming them up through that process so they can be like a warm, interested, qualified lead by the time that you do sit down with them and try to close them up, right? So what you need is call attempts within 60 seconds of a lead coming in. So this is like your speed to lead. This is probably going to be your highest lever in terms of your lead to booking rate. So if you're running ads, a lead comes in, should get a call within 60 seconds. It's not like, oh, you check your phone after lunch and you found out a lead came in an hour and a half ago. Unacceptable. Can't happen. So automated text and email sequences being sent out to these people, right? So just text sequences, staying top of mind, like whatever that copy might look like for you.
just some sort of message to, like, once again, stay top of mind. And it's like little touch points here and there. Like the familiarity in their mind of you is just kind of slowly building up with every text and email and call, and interaction that they have with you and your company. So having scripts built out for agents to qualify, book, and confirm appointments. So here at NCT, like, we have a pretty robust call team, and the scripts are completely dialed in. Training happens all of the time. Role plays happen all the time. Shadowing happens all of the time. So if you want to have a call team, it needs to be like this. Like, you need to have boundaries in which that call team operates, right? So that's your scripts and your training and how you know, the operations that connects everything in between. Okay, this is really important as well. So sending them out like proof. So if you remember, like in past videos, like we've talked about like proof versus promise, right? Sending them proof before your appointment even happens, before you even meet them, or maybe even, it depends on how it's structured, but yeah, before you even meet them. Like sending them testimonials and social proof, like videos of you like working with people in the neighborhood, roofs that you've done, little videos that you made. Maybe it's like a montage or like a collage or whatever video of like a ton of different testimonials, sending them something. So they're like, okay, this person has delivered my desired result to other people in the past, so it shouldn't be a problem for me. Like, that's what you want to build subconsciously in the back of their mind before you even talk to them. And that's something that a lot of roofers like don't even have. It's kind of like we knock on their door, we try to do the inspection, right there, or if somebody calls into the office, like, from our just our website, they just see our website and they just call into the office. We set an appointment and then we just go out to the appointment. We try to close them, and we expect that to be like, we expect that to pretty much be a silver platter, or at least is what I see a lot of the times. So most roofers, you guys don't have a lead problem. There's like a follow-up and conversion problem. And it all starts with that, but it obviously all starts with having like a lead flow in the first place, which is what we talked about, having like a scalable, repeatable system that's preferably online, and you can measure the KPIs and you can scale it, obviously, right? So this is the one that kind of irks me a little bit. This is where I see a huge gap. So tracking and optimizing. So I'll ask a ton of roofers, I'll be like, hey, like, what's your close rate? Or, hey, what's your CAC? Or, hey, what's your average ticket? And it's always these like vague numbers. Like, oh, I'd say it's like 60%. Like, what do you mean you'd say? Like, you should know it to the decimal almost. Like you should know every single one of these KPIs. Because the truth of it is, guys, like, if you don't, like, having data and having clearly tracked data, it's almost like it gives you like a superhuman ability to make the correct decisions because you have the objective state of your business. If you don't have the objective state of your business, like on your KPI sheet, you can't make proper decisions. So if your CAC is triple, like your customer acquisition cost, it's triple what you kind of think it is in your head, or your close rate is half of what you think of it, or even double what you think in your head, like that, there's some adjustment to be made. You're like, oh, sales I thought was a bottleneck, but we're actually closing at 56.3% close rate. Like, we're really, really great. Like, what are our other bottlenecks in the front end? Because our CAC's really high. Oh, our booking cost is like $532. That's very, very high. Like, you should know every single one of these KPIs so you can make very clear decisions on how to influence one of those two KPIs, your CAC and your LTV. If you are doing anything as an owner that is outside of influencing one or both of these metrics, you are wasting your time. If you are working on something that does not get your CAC down and your LTV up, you are wasting your time. So it all starts with measuring it, right? And tracking these KPIs in the first place. So tracking your cost per lead, tracking your cost per qualified appointment, your customer acquisition cost, making a ton of creatives based on what is already working, right? So having KPIs, more granular KPIs on your advertising, so you see what's actually working and what's not. If you don't have that data, you can't make those decisions. We're just shooting in the dark, right? We're just shooting a bow and arrow, the lights completely off, just hoping to get a bullseye. Like, we are going to burn through so much money. And this is why people are like, oh, Facebook ads don't work for me, or Google ads don't work for me. It's like, no, you don't work for Google ads. You don't work for Facebook. Like, you didn't make it work. People are making it work. And the large part is because they have a lot of data, right? It's going to be your superpower. Third problem. So you're marketing to the wrong customers. This is a problem that I see a lot, and I've actually made, like, within my own business quite a bit. So this is kind of a silent killer of marketing, or a silent killer of your business, because you're spending so much time, even if you have a really dialed in system, you're spending so much time and energy onto the marketing front, and you're not converting the customers that you want. People are like haggling you, like you're getting repair jobs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? When you could be spending pretty much the same amount of money, time, and energy and getting your ideal customers if you know how to target. Because that's what marketing is, right? Is getting the people that we want to come through the door. If we're marketing to everybody, we're marketing to absolutely nobody. So like I said, like even if you have the best team and you're attracting the wrong kind of customer, like it's extraordinarily hard to scale, and it's super stressful. Like I've been there. It's super stressful. So here's what targeting the wrong customer looks like, kind of like what I was saying. You're stuck with these small ticket repair and patch jobs. You're constantly being like lowballed and ghosted. I know you deal with that a ton. The clients you choose or the clients you close turn into headaches. Like they're slow with pay. They're hard to work with. They complain at a higher rate. You know what I'm saying? Like they talk shit at a higher rate. If like you're installing 15 roofs to make what you would if you were just like if you just got 5 of the right customers and you're spending half the time. You know what I'm saying? Like that's obviously like a better trade for your time and your money. Here's the fix to it. So with your marketing, you need to go upstream or even downstream, depending on how you have your business structured. So like if you are the cheap volume roofer, your messaging and your marketing needs to be towards that like ICP, your ideal client profile of like what fits the way that you function in your business, right? If you're looking for like higher end, roof replacements, that's how you need to have the messaging in your marketing. You can just have like generic marketing if your business is structured in that type of way. You need to create ads that speak directly to your ICP, so your ideal client profile or your ideal customer, not just any homeowner. Attracting higher income customers that can afford the price of roof, or like lower income customers that like that's the side of the market that you're trying to hit because that's the type of company that you decided to build. Filter out bad fits early with qualifying questions, pre-call screenings, like through a setter or a call team. It's not just about getting more leads, it's about getting the right ones. And I've been down that rabbit hole, and especially like with some of our clients that we've helped out, it's like, like I remember like a while back, it's like, okay, how do we get lead costs cheaper? That's not necessarily what we need to do. It's how do we get the right customers? And then, oh wow, our CAC got cut in half because we like actually started to do messaging that is congruent with how we function in our business, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully this video helped you out. Watch every other video that we have. Just binge everything else right now. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.